On the eve of our wedding, Marcus, with his childhood friend in his arms, asked me for a night of freedom. He said that after tonight, he would be faithful to our marriage until death. I looked at him for a long time, then nodded and agreed. As he walked past me, he generously said, "You can also go find a man tonight, I promise I won't mind at all. No need to go out." I silently walked over to his absolute best friend. My gaze, filled with intensity, met his handsome eyes. "Sleep with me tonight?" He has a childhood friend, and do I not have a first love? The VIP lounge was filled with many people, including his closest friends and my bridesmaids. After a few rounds of drinks, everyone got a bit tipsy. Marcus suddenly embraced Lily, his childhood friend since childhood. He said, "Lily, look, childhood sweethearts really can't beat a fated encounter. Didn't Grace, this fated encounter, just sweep me off my feet? Tomorrow I'm marrying someone else. Don't you feel a little regret?" A bitter expression instantly crossed Lily's face, as if tears could fall at any second. "What good is regret? Who told you to fall in love with her later?" Marcus just gazed at Lily's tear-filled eyes in his arms, his expression full of tenderness. "How about we make up for that regret tonight?" Lily looked up. "How?" Then I saw Marcus slowly turn his gaze towards me. "Grace," he shouted. "Tomorrow we'll be husband and wife, and I promise, I'll be faithful to our marriage until death, never betraying you. But tonight, the last night before the wedding, why don't we do something thrilling and give each other a night of freedom?" A chorus of cheers and shouts erupted in the VIP lounge. My chilling expression brought an immediate hush. Marcus's ulterior motive was clear as day. He wanted to spend a wild night with his childhood friend, the girl he'd been intimate with throughout his youth. To make up for the regret of having loved but never slept together. He was certain I wouldn't flat out refuse him, and that afterward, if he just sweet-talked me, I wouldn't hold this against him. The reason for his confidence was simple. Although he had pursued me passionately at first, in terms of family background, I was clearly marrying into a higher social class. He thought I was not only captivated by him, but also absolutely unwilling to give up his prominent wealthy family. After all, for a commoner's daughter like me, whose parents were ordinary factory workers, marrying into a prominent wealthy family was incredibly difficult. To have met him was incredibly lucky. He was right. I had experienced firsthand what it was like for a commoner's daughter to be noticed by a scion of a prominent family, only to face resistance from the prominent wealthy family, but not from him. My friends beside me tugged at my sleeve. "Grace, don't be foolish, you can't agree." I looked at Marcus for a long time, seeing the stubbornness and certainty in his eyes. Finally, I nodded, my voice calm. "Okay, I agree." Oh. A wave of laughter and applause erupted. The silent atmosphere in the VIP lounge instantly dispersed. "Grace, you're amazing. You're truly a woman worthy of marrying into the Vance family estate. No wonder Marcus knelt in Dad's study for 3 days and 3 nights just to marry you. A woman who can enter a family like ours must have this kind of spirit." Marcus's slightly tense lips curved into a relaxed smile, and he held the docile childhood sweetheart in his arms even tighter. He stood up, still holding her. "All right, it's getting late. I have a wedding tomorrow, so I can't stay up all night going wild with you guys. Lily and I are heading out. Order whatever drinks you want, have fun. All expenses tonight are on me." "Ooh, our little Lily is in for a rough night, isn't she?" Another wave of murmurs and teasing rose in the VIP lounge. As he passed me, to show fairness, he lowered his brows and generously said to me, "Grace, if you want you can also go find a man tonight. I promise I won't mind at all." He must have banked on my reserved and conservative nature, knowing I wouldn't let loose, which is why he said such a thing. I looked back at him. "Really?" He raised an eyebrow. "Of course. A man's word is his bond. You know I always keep my promises. Just like I said I'd marry you, and I did." His tone was proud, as if marrying me was a great favor he'd bestowed upon me. So I should be sensible and generous regarding him and Lily tonight. I withdrew my gaze and looked towards the man in the far corner of the VIP lounge, who had been stone-faced and silent all evening. "Well, no need to go out." "What?" Ignoring his expression, I stood up and silently walked to the man's feet. I knelt down, bowing my head, my eyes overflowing with emotion, and looked up to meet his gaze. Carefully inviting. "Sleep with me tonight?" The stone-faced man leaned back on the leather sofa, looking down on me, as if he could kick me away in disgust at any second. A sudden scoff came from behind me. It was Marcus. "Grace, of all people, why him? He was deeply hurt by his first love years ago and became a misogynist. He hasn't been with a woman in years." Misogynist. I pondered those 2 words in my heart. Is that true? My emotions stirred, and I stared at him without blinking, gazing at the face that had haunted my dreams and kept me sleepless on countless nights. After meeting again, were it not for the alcohol tonight, it would have been the first time I dared to meet his gaze directly like this. My nails dug into my palms. In truth, I wasn't sure what his attitude towards me would be now, until a cold leather shoe tip rested against my chin. The man's chin lifted even higher, his expression growing colder. He radiated an intimidating aura, and his voice, tinged with anger, asked me, "Are you sure?" I didn't want to back down, so I bravely pushed my chin further towards the top of his shoe. "I'm sure." He suddenly RO'd from the sofa, and everyone probably thought I had completely enraged him, and that he would ruthlessly cast me aside the next second. After all, I'd heard that an aspiring actress had tried to flirt with him at a cocktail party a few days ago. He found her in the way, and with a wave of his arm, he pushed her directly into the pool. She was drowning and crying for help, but he didn't even spare her a glance, simply striding away. Even, startled, lunged forward, rushing to my front and spreading his arms to embrace Julian. Brother, she's still my wife, don't lay a hand on her. She doesn't know your temper, please be lenient with her for offending you. Grace, get up quickly. Didn't I tell you before? You absolutely cannot provoke this guy, he's not interested in women. I know you're not interested in any man besides me, so don't try to act tough in front of me. Go back and rest with your girlfriends. I don't know what Marcus said wrong, but Julian used force and pushed him several steps away. His eyes were like daggers. Who said I'm not interested in women? At the same moment, my vision blurred as he hoisted me onto his shoulder. His deep voice, mixed with the resentment of old grievances, reached my ears. Grace, you came to me yourself. We were about to walk out the door, to everyone's astonishment. Seeing me being carried on his best friend's shoulder, Marcus called out from behind, Julian, what do you mean? That's right, his name. Julian. The man paused, turned his face slightly, and said mercilessly, it means exactly what it says. Marcus's tone clearly grew anxious. Are you serious? That's my wife. He'd been calling me wife all night. Did those words still feel a bit jarring now? Julian turned back and gave Marcus a deep look, as if disdaining to say another word to him. He then turned and carried me out the door. Marcus seemed genuinely anxious, chasing after us and grabbing Julian's arm. Julian, we grew up together, practical. Why inseparable? His gaze shifted to me, draped over Julian's shoulder. You understand, a friend's wife is off limits, right? Julian showed no intention of putting me down. After shaking off Marcus's hand, he shoved him hard on the shoulder. He pushed Marcus right into Lily, who had also followed them to the doorway, pinning him against the wall perfectly, so close they almost kissed. Julian's voice was chillingly calm. Good that you understand. A night like this is rare, take care of yourself. I was already feeling a bit dizzy from the alcohol. Now, hanging upside down on Julian's back, my head felt even dizzier. Wanting him to put me down, I softly called out his name. Julian, but I only received his cold retort, don't just call out my name. Are we that close? I bit my tongue and swallowed the rest of my request to be put down. It's just dizziness, I can handle it. After all, I owed him. Marcus, not far away, was still being persistent and looked like he was about to chase us. Julian, don't you dare. I'm not finished with you. But he was held back by his other friends. Marcus, you know Julian has been very edgy since he came back home. Don't confront him. He didn't say anything when you bid so low on the coastal development project, even though you two are close. He's probably a bit upset deep down. Everyone knows you care about Grace, he's probably just teasing you tonight, and he'll likely drop Grace off somewhere as soon as you go downstairs. Don't you know how many years he's been single without a woman? We used to tease him privately, you remember his nickname, don't you? He glares at everyone, avoids women, runs away from any female. You were the one who started that nickname. Relax. He only cares about his first love, the wildcat who left him. He wouldn't lay a hand on Grace. Marcus didn't pursue us, and Julian and I were long gone. Just before entering the elevator, I heard my two beautiful, playful bridesmaids mock us. Their tone was sarcastic. Oh, so you can't play this game, huh? And a night of freedom before the wedding, a man's word is his bond. You can also go find a man. I promise I won't mind at all. Is single and free tonight. You know, in the VIP parking lot on the ground floor. Julian did indeed drop me. He tossed me into his passenger seat. The black Pagani sped off into the dark night. In a strikingly stylish villa. I didn't recognize it, nor had I ever been there before. The moment we entered, he ripped off my coat, his hand forcefully gripping the back of my neck. A kiss, full of resentment and ferocity, landed on my lips. I winced in pain and pushed him, Julian, but he gripped my waist tightly, pinning me against the wall, making it impossible to move even an inch. His voice was harsh. Didn't you want to sleep with me? Why are you pulling away? Unable to argue, I could only plead, could you be a little gentler? In an instant, he threw me onto the bed. He had no intention of being gentle. Can't be gentle. Clothes flew to the floor one by one. He was fierce, utterly devoid of tenderness. It wasn't until he discovered I was still untouched that he suddenly froze. That handsome face, always cold and merciless, filled with resentment and fury, finally softened a little. You never slept with Marcus? After so many years apart, how could I explain my current situation to him? I bit my lip again and again, then gave a perfunctory answer. I haven't had the chance yet. A couple about to get married tomorrow, yet they hadn't slept together. In modern society, who would believe it? Who could even do that? For me, of course, there was a reason. The reason was that, strictly speaking, Marcus and I had never actually dated. We skipped that phase entirely, leaping straight to the end, marriage. Of course, that didn't stop him from genuinely wanting to marry me, and I genuinely wanted to get along with him and spend the rest of our lives together. But after tonight, everything was likely to change. Julian's thick eyebrows furrowed. He stared at me for a long time, no doubt finding it incredible. That and I had never had an intimate relationship. Yet, with the truth before him, he had to believe that I had indeed not been with any other man. His handsome eyes gradually lost their icy edge, then slowly, a hint of red appeared. As if years of suppressed grievance and deep affection were finally willing to show a small corner to me. Finally, with a sigh of resignation, as if letting go of his guard, he pulled me into his arms. And kissed the corner of my lip, which he had so mercilessly bitten earlier. A kiss. He turned, holding me, and pressed my head into his shoulder and neck. Our bodies pressed close. I heard his hot breath whisper, "Grace, I still love you." After that sentence, his kisses became tender and lingering. Gentle. Tears welled in my eyes, the chandelier above swung, blurring before me. Past midnight, my phone suddenly vibrated incessantly. The melodious ringtone, at this moment, sounded annoyingly loud, disturbing Julian's focused mind. It was my phone. It was Marcus. Who had time to deal with him at a moment like this? I intended to swipe to dismiss, but accidentally, due to unsteady fingers, I hit the answer button. Immediately, Marcus's clearly unsettled voice came through. "Grace, why aren't you home? Where did Julian drop you off? Let's not play this stupid night of freedom before the wedding game anymore." I thought about it, it's so boring, and Lily is just a tramp, she can't even compare to a single strand of your hair. Where are you? I'm coming to pick you up and take you home. I regret it so much now, saying such a terrible thing to you in the VIP lounge. Before I could speak, Julian snatched the phone. His voice was arrogant. Regret it? Too late. She can't be picked up by you, because she's in my bed right now. What? Julian. Beep. Julian hung up, powered off the phone. And casually tossed it far away. Marcus was the one who caused trouble, but I was the one who suffered. He picked me up and moved me from the head of the bed to the foot. He bit my ear, again. Seconds and minutes relentlessly passed. I longed and longed and longed, yet there was no moment of rest. The night finally gave way, and daylight broke through. Even the drawn curtains couldn't block the bright glow. Today was the day Marcus and I were supposed to get married. By this time, I should have been getting ready to rush home. Changing into my wedding gown, sitting before the vanity mirror, having a makeup artist apply a beautiful bridal look. Quietly and expectantly waiting for Marcus to arrive with a long procession of wedding cars to take me as his bride. Julian, of course, knew all this. This man, who had toiled all night tirelessly, slowly let his ferocity return as daylight broke. He wouldn't let me go, he wouldn't stop. Pleading was useless, begging was useless, sweet-talking was useless. He just used his handsome, reddened eyes to question me repeatedly. Don't marry him, promise me, Grace, don't marry him, promise me. I truly wanted to agree, just begging him to pause for a moment so I could catch my breath. I couldn't even form complete words right now. For a long time, he didn't get my answer, and Julian, as if in despair, suddenly collapsed on top of me, holding me tightly, tightly in his arms, his voice filled with a hint of plea. Grace, don't marry him, please. It was so hard, but finally, there was a brief moment for me to respond. Okay, my voice was completely hoarse. He immediately propped himself up, gazing at me intensely. You agreed? I nodded vigorously. If I didn't agree, would you really let me go and marry your best friend? Besides, having seen Marcus for the rotten man he was, would I be a fool to still marry him? His apple bobbed up and down, his lips moved slightly, as if carefully considering, before he blurted out, if I were to tell you right now that I want you to be with me again, would you? My entire body ached, and I was truly speechless. I could only use my weak fists to lightly pound his chest. Julian, you've kept me awake all night. I haven't had a minute's rest. And now you're still asking if I'm willing. His eyebrows suddenly relaxed. So you are willing? I could only nod vigorously again in response. A loud kiss landed on my lips. He pulled me into a sitting position. Grace, let's go somewhere. Where? You'll know when we get there. I shook my head, falling back onto the bed. No, another day. I'm too tired. I can't move an inch. His voice was firm. No, today, right now. It's okay if you can't move, I'll carry you, or piggyback you. As he said this, he was already hastily dressing me, and I felt completely overwhelmed. I was dirty. We had been at it all night. Julian, my body, don't put these on me like this. At least a quick shower. He seemed very anxious. It's fine, no one else will know. We'll shower when we get back. Just throw these clothes away and buy new ones. And so, a disoriented couple, who had lost all restraint the night before, walked out, each wrapped in barely enough to cover themselves. Julian carried me out of the house and placed me in the passenger seat. He drove steadily, yet fast. As we got into the car, I saw him check my clutch, wondering why. We had barely driven 2 minutes from the villa when he reminded me, Grace, turn on your phone and tell your family the wedding is cancelled, so they don't make a wasted trip to the venue. Oh, right. It was only then that I realized I was practically senseless from his efforts. Ignoring countless messages and calls, I first contacted my parents. By the time I finished contacting my relatives and friends, we had arrived at Julian's intended destination. I glanced over this. On the bright red signage, 4 large characters were boldly displayed, marriage registration. The clerk's office? This man must be crazy, utterly insane. I stared at him, utterly astonished, but he just smiled gently. Then he turned off the car engine and carried me out. We sat on the waiting bench outside the county's office. They weren't even open yet. He was so eager that he didn't even bother to tidy us up before rushing me here. One arm was around me, while the other held both of my hands. Feeling his emotions finally settle a bit, he said, Grace, we've been apart for 7 years. 7 years of missed time, don't you think that's a very long time? I really can't wait another second. If you're willing, let's just get married right away. Okay? Why wouldn't I be willing? My first love waited 7 years for me, and I had never truly moved on from him. Now, to finally be with him, why would I refuse? But then I remembered the scene years ago when his mother forcefully summoned me for a meeting. Julian and I? Just get married? What kind of family was he from? They were consistently high on the national rich list. How could our marriage be so easy? So I couldn't help but ask, your family, Grace, he interrupted me. He looked earnestly into my eyes. When a man and woman fall in love, they want to be together forever. To get a certificate to protect that feeling, I don't believe it has to have the elders' approval. They have their own ideas, but you and I are adults. Getting married is just between the two of us. Of course, regarding your parents, I'll go and apologize to them myself. Let them scold me, hit me, or punish me, until they agree to let me be their son-in-law. But my family, Julian let out a deep breath. It was just as difficult now as it had been in the past. 2 parts fierceness entered his gaze. Grace, I'm only going to tell you one thing. If you dare to back down, run away, or leave me like you did 7 years ago, you're dead. I quickly leaned my head into his embrace, comforting him. I won't run, I'll never back down again. I'll do whatever you say. By the time the county's office staff started work, several more couples had lined up behind Julian and me. As he skillfully pulled out my documents from my clutch, I remembered how he'd furtively rummaged through my clutch before we left the house. He was checking if my documents were there. We were, of course, the first couple to register for marriage that day. Having not slept all night, both of us inevitably had prominent dark circles under our eyes. We should have been listless, but in the red background photo on the marriage certificate, we were grinning like a pair of happy fools. It was clear at a glance that we were marrying voluntarily, extremely voluntarily. The authoritative official seal stamped a corner of the photo, and we each held a copy. As I received the marriage certificate, my hands trembled with excitement, and so did his. I was married, to my first love. He swept me up into his arms and planted a big kiss on my cheek. As we walked out of the county's office, he leaned close to my ear, his breath heavy, and whispered, "Wife." I was too shy to look at him, covering my face with my hands. Yet, my 8 white teeth were all showing as I replied, "Husband." Having my phone off was truly peaceful. On the way back to the villa, he took me to quickly buy 2 sets of clothes. The moment we entered, he stripped me of my clothes again, this time throwing them all into the trash can. Then he carried me to the bathroom to wash up and play. Afterward, I changed into my new pajamas and reclined on the soft sofa, watching him make my late breakfast in the kitchen. Shrimp and egg custard, one of my favorite foods from when we were together before. He still remembered. He brought it to the sofa area and fed me bite by bite. Some things are troublesome, but they still need to be handled, to be faced. After washing up and eating something, both of us felt much more refreshed. Julian turned on his phone first. It was immediately bombarded with calls. He answered. The first call was from a mutual friend of his and Marcus's. Julian, you finally turned on your phone. Where are you? You're not really with Grace, are you? Don't you know Marcus has gone crazy? He's been frantically speeding around looking for you since last night, turning over his numerous properties in the city. Today is Marcus's wedding, and neither you nor the bride can be found or contacted. The groom's guests are all here, but none of the bride's side has arrived. The trending topics have exploded online, saying that Marcus, the Vance family heir, is having his wedding and the bride has run away. Now the entire internet is laughing at the Vance family. Marcus is speeding towards your villa on Pinecrest Road right now. I held my breath, but Julian was very calm. I'm at the villa on Pinecrest Road. Tell him to come. He hung up the phone, placed the empty dishes on the coffee table, took both of my hands, and said, "Wife, go get changed. After we see Marcus, I'll go with you back to my parents' place to see your mom and dad and explain the situation, so they don't worry at home." I nodded, okay. We had just finished changing when Marcus was already pounding on the main gate. Julian pressed the electronic remote button, letting him in. Marcus was disheveled and dirty, also with prominent dark circles under his eyes, which were bloodshot and swollen from holding back tears. The stubble on his chin was dark, making him look less like a young groom and more like a scruffy uncle whose family had fallen on hard times. The moment he entered, the fury on his face looked like it could set the entire villa ablaze. First, he glared angrily at Julian in front of him, then saw me standing behind Julian. He took several deep, gasping breaths, as if swallowing his broken teeth. Ignoring, he controlled his emotions and slowly said to me, "Grace, we're getting married today, did you forget? Come on, There's still time, let's go get married." He reached out to take my hand. Julian slapped his hand away. "Marcus, don't just call her that when you haven't had a wedding or registered your marriage. She's not your wife." Marcus roared, "Aren't we going to have the wedding right now?" Their gazes locked in a silent battle, and Julian's expression grew more serious. I said from behind, "Marcus, I agreed to your proposal for a night of freedom before the wedding last night, but I didn't agree to still marry you today. I'm sorry, we both became single again last night. I can't marry you." After hearing my refusal, Marcus asked Julian, word by word, through gritted teeth, "Did you touch her last night?" Julian calmly retorted, "What do you think?" Before I could react, a sudden punch landed. Julian stumbled for Marcus's punch. "You slept with my wife. You motherfucker." Shielding me, Julian regained his footing and unceremoniously landed a punch on Marcus's face. Marcus stumbled backwards towards the shoe rack by the door. Julian turned back, grabbed a marriage certificate, and yanked Marcus's collar, making him look closely. "Grace. She's my wife now. Try calling her your wife again." Marcus was completely stunned. He tremblingly reached for the marriage certificate. He saw our faces, grinning like happy fools who couldn't hide their joy, and the incredibly recent registration date next to the photo. As if finally finding a flaw, he also grabbed Julian's collar. He looked at Julian, then at me, then back at Julian, asking furiously and incredulously, "When did you two get together? You two have been secretly seeing each other behind my back all along, haven't you?" Another punch, this one landing on Julian's face. "Julian, I treated you like my best brother, and you backstabbed me like this? You slept with my woman. You poached her from me. I hadn't even brought myself to touch her yet. How dare you take her to register for marriage on the day of my wedding to her? I'll kill you. You ungrateful jerk. Who's your woman?" "She's mine. Mine." The two men wrestled. I had no choice but to intervene unfairly, only restraining Marcus, not Julian. As they fought, perhaps because of my biased intervention, Marcus was indeed hit hard, and his mouth, which had been spewing curses, actually began to whimper. You call me a jerk? You're the jerk, Julian. We were best friends, how could you do this to me? Do you know how much effort I put into pursuing her? I chased her for a whole year. I spent tens of millions, and still couldn't win her over. Boo-hoo. I knelt in Dad's study for 3 days and 3 nights, enduring 3 days of family discipline, covered in welts and bruises, before Dad finally agreed to our marriage and let me decide for myself. He pointed at me, tearfully, that's what made her believe my sincerity, boo-hoo, and she still wouldn't let me touch her, saying we should take it slow, boo-hoo, and now it all just falls to you, boo-hoo-hoo. Even though Marcus's parents thought she was an academic bookworm, of no benefit to the family business, and didn't approve of me marrying her, do you know how proud I was to marry a highly educated and accomplished scholar, a tall, beautiful female research doctor? Boo-hoo, I was so proud in front of all my friends. They all envied me so much, seeing me as so much better than them, who could only marry wealthy socialites who only cared about shopping, beauty, and plastic surgery. Boo-hoo, why did you steal her from me? Didn't you love that wildcat, your first love who left you? Go find your first love. Don't poach her from me, Julian, give her back to me, give her back, boo-hoo. The fight couldn't continue. Marcus was a complete blubbering mess. He lay on the floor, throwing a tantrum. Perhaps I still didn't understand Marcus enough. I truly hadn't expected to see this side of him. Thinking about the entire year he had pursued me with such fervor, it had genuinely brought a lot of sunshine into my tedious research life. In all honesty, I had been touched by him. Many times I stopped thinking about Julian's name, believing I could finally let go of that distant first love. Perhaps I should cherish this second passionate love in my life. If I missed it again, I might truly end up alone. But I didn't love Marcus, this rich young man, enough, nor did I have the energy for a casual relationship. Yet, I genuinely wanted to try with him. The serious kind, with marriage in mind. So one day, when he was blocking the entrance of my research, waiting for me to get off work, I asked him, do you want something casual with me? You know I'm very busy with my research every day. I really don't have time for a casual relationship. So if I agree to this, will we get married? He might have misunderstood, thinking I wanted to marry him immediately. After taking me home, he solemnly promised me, give me 3 days, and I'll give you a definite answer. Wait for me. And that's when he knelt in Dad's study for 3 days and 3 nights, enduring family discipline, just to beg his dad for permission to marry me. When he returned to me, his bones aching from kneeling for days, his body bruised and battered from his father's beating, he said with a chuckle, Marcus's parents have agreed to our marriage. If you're willing, we can get married right away. Grace, I've practically given up half my life, you can't refuse me now. Looking at him like that, how could I possibly say no? I could only nod and agree. Suddenly talking about marriage, the pace might truly have been too fast, and I felt genuinely uneasy. So when he first suggested staying overnight at my place, I refused. Later, when another opportunity arose, he suggested I stay overnight at his place, and again, I refused. After that, he never brought up such requests again, only pushing for us to marry as soon as possible. He said, don't worry about that, I'm not in a hurry. Why, we'll be married soon, so let's save that beautiful moment for our wedding night. Thinking about it, it just made him even more excited. It wasn't until his childhood friend Lily found out Marcus and I were about to get married and came to cause a scene. That's when I learned he had actually been dating Lily before. He had fallen for someone else, broken up with his childhood sweetheart girlfriend, and then brazenly pursued me. I didn't think there was a big problem. He fell in love with me, no longer loved his childhood friend, broke up with his childhood friend first, then pursued me and got together with me. The process was correct. So I didn't pay too much attention to him and Lily, even though Lily often appeared in front of him. When did things start to go wrong? After he met my parents, after both sets of parents officially met because their children were getting married. My parents were ordinary factory workers. They had little education and weren't worldly. In front of a prominent wealthy family like the Vance family, with hundreds of millions in assets, they inevitably appeared unrefined and timid, speaking hesitantly. Their calloused hands were so rough they didn't even dare to extend them to shake hands with their in-laws. They poured everything they had into me, even risking bankruptcy, but still couldn't produce a proper dowry. I gradually noticed a change in Marcus's attitude towards me. He used to be so submissive, always trying to please me and win my affection. But subtly, he became arrogant and acted superior. I didn't pay much mind to it at first, because I was no longer the person I had been 7 years ago. I didn't think I was unworthy of this idle wealthy scion from the Vance family. Of course, as long as he truly loved me and was loyal to our relationship, and his family had endless money, a little idleness wasn't a big deal. Nobody dictates that one must strive for something in life. But when it came to being a good match, I was a respected female PhD from the research, a highly educated and accomplished scholar, destined to make significant contributions to society. I had limitless future prospects. Why on earth would I be unworthy of an illiterate wealthy young man who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, could barely read, had all his degrees and certifications bought, and spent his days being wasteful and extravagant? Who was truly unworthy of whom? If he really looked down on me, well, I looked down on him even more. I thought he understood the balance between intellect and wealth that existed between us. I never expected that after seeing my very ordinary family background, he would actually believe I was greatly punching above my weight by marrying into his social class, and that meeting him was a huge stroke of luck for me. He thought I should be more humble, try harder to hold on to him, and constantly appease him. He even started flirting again with his childhood sweetheart, for whom he clearly had lingering feelings. Julian's reappearance had indeed left me flustered and confused. I hadn't even had the chance to enlighten Marcus when our wedding date suddenly arrived. On the eve of our wedding, his actions and words made it clear to me that he was not worthy of me. He didn't deserve me. It also gave me the courage to try and reclaim that distant feeling, which had never truly left the softest corners of my heart, my first love. Watching throw a tantrum on the floor, crying and screaming, Julian seemed unfazed. He probably knew Marcus better than I did. Their claim of having grown up together, practically inseparable, wasn't just an empty phrase. It was just that back then, Julian and I had a secret relationship in our youth, and he never introduced me to his friends or family. Until his recent return back home, none of the three of us knew of each other's existence, nor the complex history between us. Back then, Julian would always tell me, "Grace, just give me some time. I'm absolutely serious about you, it's just my family. I don't have any say at home right now. Just give me a little more time, wait for me, okay?" I nodded seriously. Okay. I believed him. A boy who, despite having only average diving skills, repeatedly risked his life to dive into the deep sea, searching for 108 rare pearls for me. That was my birthday number. He used those pearls to craft a set of precious and magnificent jewelry, presenting it to me as a birthday gift. He deserved my complete and utter trust. I knew his family was well off, probably with some significant background, but I had no idea their wealth was so extravagant, or their family background so powerful. Not until I was forcibly pulled into a car by several men in black while walking down the street, and then taken into a quiet VIP lounge. Inside sat an extraordinarily elegant lady, Eleanor. After stating her intentions, she slid $1 million check across the table to me. I felt deeply ashamed, lacking even the courage to look up at her, but I wouldn't take the money. So I gently pushed it back. I heard a faint scoff from her. The young lady has quite an appetite. Then that $1 million check became a $10 million check, which she slid back towards me. Her tone was soft, almost gentle. "If that's not enough, I can add more. For our family, this is just 1 or 2 months of spending money. But you must break up with my son, and leave his life forever. He has a fiancée, didn't he tell you? They're getting married right after graduation, and his fiancée's dowry is no less than 10 billion. What do you have?" In that moment, all my life's perceptions, all my values, completely crumbled. Forget the number billion, just that $10 million check she was offering me. Most ordinary people wouldn't see that much money in several lifetimes, let alone earn it. Aunt's mother was using such an amount to casually dismiss her son's supposedly poor and insignificant girlfriend. My parents' combined monthly income was less than 10,000 yuan, and I was just an ordinary female student from such a family. Every number she spoke was terrifying. I felt like I was punching above my weight, daring to set my sights on Julian. It was no longer a question of whether we loved each other. I truly wasn't worthy of him. We were worlds apart, like heaven and earth. One must have self-awareness. I fled in a panic, agreeing to all her demands. I didn't even take the money. That amount had truly terrified me at that moment. Later, Julian didn't marry that so-called fiancée. For some reason, his family sent him straight abroad. They used their connections to restrict his entry, preventing him from coming back home. This restriction lasted for 6 long years. During that time, I studied relentlessly, pursuing master's and doctoral degrees consecutively. I couldn't allow myself to stop for a second. I was so insecure, to the very core of my being. I was a mere toad, yet I had dared to fall deeply in love with the heir apparent who lived in a celestial palace. I strived, I pushed, I worked tirelessly, wanting to make myself, this little frog from the mud, at least not appear so ugly and repulsive. Then, with age, maturity, and steadily increasing academic qualifications, I gradually regained my confidence and realized something important. Whether facing Julian or later, Marcus, I didn't need to feel inferior, nor demean myself. Because love is equal. He loved me, wanted to be with me forever. I loved him, wanted to be with him forever. That was all there was to it. If we encountered any obstacles along the way, we would simply face them together. That was the most correct and best way to deal with things. Julian rolled up his sleeves and kicked Marcus's rear twice more. Why didn't you cherish her after putting so much effort into chasing her? Why didn't you cherish her once you'd won her over, something you were so proud of? You're getting married, and the night before, you want to go messing around with your ex-girlfriend? You deserve it if your wife runs off with someone else. Marcus sat up from the floor, wiped away a tear, and retorted, was I doing it on purpose? Lily and I have been close since childhood, how could I have no feelings for her at all? I was just momentarily confused. I got a bit tipsy and acted foolishly. That's why I made that ridiculous suggestion, boo-hoo-hoo. Julian. Even so, does that give you the right to poach your best friend's woman? Don't you have a conscience? I'm telling you. As of today, we're done. I'm holding a grudge, and we're sworn enemies. Julian ran a hand through his messy hair and let out a breath. Sworn enemies? Are you saying the Vance family no longer wants the coastal development project? You should know I'm calling the shots on that project now, right? If I kick the Vance family out and let the project fall through for you all, do you think your dad, with his fiery temper, would be so furious that he'd break both your legs? Marcus clenched his fists tightly. Are you threatening me? Julian's tone was light. Yes, I am. So, do you yield? Marcus glared at Julian, so enraged he couldn't utter a single word. Julian reached out, pulled me into his embrace, and then nudged Marcus's knee with the tip of his shoe. If you yield, then call her Grace. And from now on, treat her with utmost respect, keeping at least 10 paces away from her. Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, and he glared at Julian, clenching his jaw for a full minute. Suddenly, he buried his face in his hands and burst into loud sobs again. Should I comfort him a little? I twitched the corner of my mouth, genuinely unsure of what to say. So I turned to Julian for help. What should we do with him? Without a word, Julian grabbed Marcus's feet and dragged him towards the door. Grace and I just got our marriage certificate this morning and we're ing all lovey-dovey. What are you doing here being a third wheel? Get lost. Go home, dismiss the guests, suppress trending topics online, and explain things properly to your parents. Tell them I'll pay a visit to apologize in person in a few days. Marcus's wails grew even more pathetic. Wah! You goddamn bastard. Julian, I'll never forgive you. You scumbag. You're treating your best friend like a toy. Why did I ever get to know you? Marcus was finally thrown out the front door by Julian. Stop wailing. Let me correct you, I didn't poach your woman. You poached mine and didn't even know how to cherish her. I was just exasperated, so I simply took her back. Marcus stood up, grumbling. What do you mean? Julian took my hand. Let me reintroduce you. Grace, my first love, the reason I was restricted abroad for 6 years, unable to come back home. The reason I drank to drown my sorrows, suffered alcohol poisoning multiple times, and was sent to the hospital, leading you to visit me abroad. The name I never dared to mention to you, fearing you'd disturb her behind my back, fearing Eleanor would continue to harass her. She's the woman right in front of you, Grace, the only woman I, Julian, will ever truly love. And now, she's my wife. So from now on, you'd best put away any thoughts you have about her, and don't entertain even the slightest ulterior motive. You know I'm the only son of the Vance family, and I'll gradually take full control. I really don't want to completely destroy you, my best friend since childhood, and the entire Vance family. 5 years later. It was Mia's second birthday, my daughter with Julian. The birthday party was held at the Vance family estate. Before the celebration began, Eleanor, her grandmother, held her close, her face beaming with loving affection. She placed a tiara worth 200 million on Mia's head. Our family's little princess, born to enjoy a life of fortune. Grandma's precious Mia, happy birthday. Grandma loves you. Mia hugged Eleanor tightly. Thank you, Grandma, I love you too. A moment later, Eleanor glanced a few steps away, where Julian was kneeling on the floor, carefully and tenderly adjusting my shoes and socks. Her expression darkened. She pulled out a property deed and spoke to Mia. Grandma's been feeling dizzy lately whenever I see water, it's quite troublesome. This sprawling overseas estate, covering tens of acres, has half of its area dedicated to water features. It's been under my name for years, and Grandma truly doesn't want it anymore, but loves diving and water sports so much, and Grandma's precious grandchild, our Vance family's little prince, will surely love it too. With a look of disdain, she shoved the property deed into Mia's hand. Go on, she said. Take this to your mom, let her take your little brother to play there. The estate had an excellent location and environment. It was said to have cost nearly $20 billion when purchased and was Eleanor's most valuable dowry. My daughter, Mia, asked in her innocent voice, my little brother? Where is he? Seeing my mother-in-law still feigning indifference towards me, Julian and I exchanged helpless smiles. He pulled Mia into his arms and playfully tweaked her little nose. He placed her small hand on my stomach. Right here. Perhaps because I hadn't taken the 10 million she offered 7 years ago, she started to see me in a new light. Or perhaps it was because my status had changed. I had clearly become a pillar of the nation at the research. And by the second year of our marriage, I had already made significant contributions to society. Julian's parents' opposition to our marriage wasn't as strong as I had initially imagined. Now, we were slowly entering a phase of family harmony.